Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're tackling a question I've seen pop up a lot. What's the deal with black gums?
It's a great question. And it's more than just, are my gums the right shade of pink? We've got some research here that really digs into the why behind gum color, and I think listeners are going to find it pretty interesting.
I think so too, especially since we often think, oh, healthy gums, they gotta be pink, right? But this research jumps right into melanin and how it plays a huge role, kind of like it does with our skin tone.
Exactly. Melanin is like the body's natural color code. Skin, hair, eyes, and yeah, even gums get their shade from it. So just like those other features, gums can be totally healthy with a whole range of colors.
Which is cool because it means there's no one-size-fits-all perfect gum color. But then the research goes on to mention something most of us have probably experienced tartar buildup, those times you maybe slacked on the flossing.
And that's where things get a little less fun fact, a little more serious. See, the bacteria in tartar release these acids, and those acids, they start to actually break down your gum tissue. That's how you end up with gum disease, which, by the way, recent studies have linked to way more than just your mouth.
Wait, really? Like what?
We're talking potential connections to heart disease, even dementia. It's wild. So, yeah, that whole floss every day thing, turns out it's more than just a suggestion for a pretty smile.
Okay, that's a serious wake-up call. Gotta up my flossing game.
Right. Now, aside from hygiene, the research also points to smoking as a reason for darker gums.
Which makes sense, considering all the other ways smoking impacts your body. But get this, medications can also cause your gums to darken. Honestly, I had no idea.
It's true. And it just shows how interconnected our bodies really are. One system gets thrown off, and another one's feeling the effects. For instance, the research specifically mentions minocycline, which is often prescribed for acne.
Really? Minocycline, I've heard of that. I never would have guessed it could impact your gums. So does that mean if you have darker skin, you're more likely to have darker gums just because of having more melanin?
It's a good question, and the answer is a little more complicated than just a yes or no. While melanin does play a role in your base gum color, other factors, like what we've been talking about, those can sometimes outweigh the melanin factor, you know what I mean? It's kind of a whole recipe, not just one ingredient.
That's super interesting. So it's way more complex than just melanin equals darker gums. There's this whole interplay of factors going on.
Exactly.
So what else does the research say about these other factors?
Well, besides melanin, tartar, smoking some medications used to treat HIV and malaria, those can also cause gum discoloration. It's not always a reason to panic, but it's definitely something to be aware of and talk to your doctor about if you notice a change.
So we've covered some of the usual suspects when it comes to dark gums, but the research also digs into some lesser known causes. And this is where it gets a little more, I don't know, medical mystery.
Right. And it really shows how important it is to, like, pay attention to what's going on in your mouth. It's not disconnected from the rest of your body.
Mm.
It can be a real signal.
Yeah, for sure. So first up, we have Addison's disease. I'll be honest, I had to do a little Googling on this one.
It's pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's a hormonal disorder that messes with your body's ability to regulate things,
Hmm.
kind of throws your internal thermostat out of whack. And one of the weird symptoms can be gum pigmentation.
So that darkening of the gums could actually be an early warning sign.
It can be, yeah.
Okay, so if you're noticing your gums changing color, and especially if it's along with other things like, I don't know, feeling super tired all the time, maybe dizzy.
Definitely worth a call to your doctor, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's Addison's disease. Now, there's another condition this research mentions, Poitsjeger syndrome. And this one, even rarer.
Much rarer. But it's interesting because it's not just about the mouth.
Yeah, what's going on with that one?
So you get these dark patches in the mouth, but it's also linked to problems in the digestive system, things like polyps growing in the intestines.
So those dark patches, they're almost like a clue that there might be something else going on.
Exactly. And that's why, I know we sound like a broken record here, but those regular checkups with your doctor, your dentist, they make a difference.
They really do. Okay, so we've got Addison's, Poitsjeger's, and then the research mentions ANU, also called trench mouth, which honestly, just the name kind of freaks me out a little.
Yeah, it's not something you want to mess with, that's for sure.
So break it down for us. What is that exactly?
So ANU, it stands for acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. It's basically a really nasty gum infection. You'll have pain, bleeding, could even give you bad breath.
Ugh, sounds charming. What causes it? Like, how do you even get that?
It's often linked to, not taking care of your oral hygiene, so not brushing, not flossing. But stress can be a factor too.
Hmm.
And if your immune system's down, that can make you more susceptible as well. Basically, it gives the bad bacteria in your mouth a chance to really take over.
And if you think you might have this, like, what should you do?
Dentist, ASAP. Don't wait on that one.
Good to know. So it seems like with a lot of these gum issues, the common thread is early detection. Whether it's something common or one of those rare conditions, catching it early is key.
100%.
Now, speaking of things that are maybe a little less doom and gloom, the research mentions something called amalgam tattoos. And I gotta say, when I first read that, I was like, wait, what?
I can imagine it sounds kind of scary.
Right. So tell us, what are those? Should we be worried if we have one?
No need to worry. Amalgam tattoos are totally harmless. They're basically just these tiny discolorations you can get from old silver fillings. So tiny, tiny particles of the filling material, they can actually work their way into your gum tissue.
And that creates the dark spot.
Yep, exactly. It's like a little souvenir you didn't ask for. It's not going to hurt you, but some people, they don't love the way it looks, so they might choose to have it removed for cosmetic reasons.
Sure, makes sense. It's good to know there are options, though, even for the less serious causes of gum discoloration. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground here. Everything from, like, skipping flossing to these super rare syndromes most people have never even heard of.
It's true.
Oh,
And I think if there's one big takeaway from all this, it's that we really shouldn't ignore what our mouths are telling us.
totally. It's easy to be like, oh, it's just my gums. But as we've seen, it could be a sign of something way bigger going on.
Exactly. And the research is really clear on this point. If you notice something's off, talk to your dentist.
For real, everyone. Those regular checkups, they're not just a suggestion. And I know we say it a lot, but good oral hygiene, it's huge. But sometimes, even if you're doing everything right at home, you still need a professional to, like, really get in there.
Right. Sometimes you need that expert eye. And the good news is, these days, there are so many treatment options out there. Like if it's tartar, maybe the deep cleaning. But there's even stuff like lasers now for some of those cosmetic issues.
Lasers in your mouth, that sounds kind of intense.
It's pretty wild, right? Technology has come a long way. But it just goes to show, if you're concerned about how your gums look, there are things you can do. It all starts with that conversation with your dentist.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that was a deep dive and a half. We decoded those dark gums, talked about what might be causing them, and hopefully give everyone listening some things to think about when it comes to their own gum health.
And as we wrap up here, one thing that really stuck with me from all this research was the link between gum health and heart health.
Oh, yeah. It mentioned that, but didn't go too deep.
Right. It's super complex, and scientists are still trying to figure out all the details. But it makes you wonder, could taking care of our mouths actually be one way to protect our hearts? Something to think about, right?
Now, that is a fascinating thought and maybe a deep dive for another day. As always, we love hearing from you all. Have you dealt with any of these gum issues? What really resonated with you from today's conversation?
Keep those thoughts coming. We read everything, and you never know, your question could spark our next deep dive.
So true. All right, until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and most importantly, keep those gums healthy.